Welcome, welcome to my Saturday Live. I'm Manwara Ali, leadership coach consultant, extremely passionate about leadership and the need to be proactive and forward movement as opposed to being reactive. And it's not an easy job to do, to lead, but I do talk about leadership a lot. I'm extremely passionate. I have seen the big difference in my life where leadership has played a huge role in progression and me growing as an individual, developing, and it's a continuous journey. So, why leadership and why trusteeship in particular? So, this is part two of two parts. I was here last Saturday sharing with you the benefits of being a trustee of a charity. Some of you may have, some of you may never have thought about being a trustee of a charity. I wanted to, during Black History Month, during October, it's also my birthday month. I wanted to be able to share what being a trustee, from my perspective, the role of a trustee, the difference it could make to charities that are desperately looking for diverse individuals or individuals from diverse backgrounds to join their charity board, whether you are from Black or ethnic minority community, whether you are female, from LGBTQ plus communities. There is a serious shortage at the trustee level of individuals who bring diversity on board. So this is my thing for some of you who have been asking questions. I know a couple of my contacts, connections have been asking, and also to bust a few myths around being a trustee. You don't have to be an expert. I am not an expert in charity law, neither am I an expert in company law. I just have the experience of having been a trustee from the age of 20, and also the experience of working in the charity sector for 30 years. A lot of learning for me, and this is what I'm sharing with you, is not believing that you have to know. A lot of the learning comes from the journey, the experience that you gain on the journey. I have learned so much more being a trustee over a period of 3 years than I could ever have imagined. And I think I have to say as well, nothing happens overnight. Spending a period of time within a charity at the trustee level will give you a real glimpse to the changes and the learning and development that happens not only to yourself but also to the charity. And you are part of that journey and you are helping to make that difference. So that's the reason why I encourage you to consider applying for trustee roles in charities. Now, they are voluntary roles, but if there was any big learning curve that you could think of, being a trustee of a charity certainly is one of them. And lots of charity boards are crying out for trusteeship, support at that level. And many are struggling because they haven't got that support at that level. So, but just to bust a few myths as well, I have worked with charities and I continue to work with charities which are more operational than strategic, which usually means that a charity has very little staffing or paid staff. So many of the charities get involved and they're a lot more hands on. So I would certainly do your research. My advice is do your research on the charity, speak to a couple of the trustees, staff, get to understand what you're signing up for, if that isn't something that you want to commit to. Historically and traditionally, many of the charity boards are filled with people of retirement age, because the commitment isn't something that people can give when they're younger and they have a full-time job. I did hold trustee positions when I was younger and I was a young mother and I had a job. But a lot of my commitments were during my maternity leave period when I had like taken a year out of work after my daughter was born about 20 years ago. So it was possible for me to commit more time towards the charity. So I took that role and that commitment, knowing that I had that availability. But boards are going to be diverse. So some boards will have some trustees who come with huge expertise in legal or finance, but they may not have as much availability. So it's a question of finding a balance. And I think a charity board, like any team, anywhere, like within a company, a business, a charity board is also a team, and within that team, you they will figure out the dynamics of availability. If not, then that's what they should be doing, to figure out the dynamics and to figure out, the differences people bring. An audit, a skills audit really helps with that process. So yeah, it's a very interesting one. One of the possible myths that I come across a lot is that a trustee's role is to tell staff what to do, and performance, to measure performance. And I have to bust that myth. I think a lot of charities that are not very well informed, or maybe trustees are not as experienced, may take that approach, but it's not the best approach to take, because you cannot manage the performance of staff when you're actually not there all the time. You don't know what they're doing. So, the role of that kind of operational role, it can only be the role of the internal staff and the executive within the organization. It is important that the trustee board do support their CEO, but also that accountability is a large part of that. And it goes both ways. You need to make sure and hold your executive to account, but you also need to be able to support them in whatever way you can. But that doesn't mean compromising any of the charity commission's rules or any of the legal responsibilities that a trustee has to hold. So, just so that you are aware, in my comments, I have put down the link to the Charity Commission and where you can find more information about the duties and the legal responsibilities of a trustee, should you consider applying to a charity as a trustee. Another myth, a common one, is that you have to, as a trustee, know the finances of the organization quite in detail, and that's not true. I've learnt through my experience of being trustee boards and really developed skills in watching and understanding the finances. And a lot of it is down to the information that is provided by, like, the financial expert within the organization. The best thing a charity trustee board can do is make that process better by supporting the finance person, by telling them exactly what it is that you want to see. And obviously the most obvious is bring on board a finance expert as a trustee. The other myth that is kind of connected is people think that a trustee's role is to scrutinize the budget. Now, that again is another myth because it will be virtually impossible to scrutinize a budget when you are not there and it's not your role to be managing the budget. You're not involved in the day to day, but holding staff to account and making sure that the organization is a going concern and there's no major like if you see a major risk of funds going down or you know all of that is really really important, but for that reason it's great to have like a finance expert on the board. So that those are like some of the common myths, because I've had a couple of people say to me, oh, but I don't understand finances, or I don't know how to look at the figures or what I'm looking at. So I wanted to be able to bust that myth. Also, it's the relationships between the executive and the board is a very very key one. And there's a fine line between trustees fulfilling their legal responsibilities and making sure that they are supportive and there for the staff. It's not easy being in a leadership role, but I think it's easier if you get to understand what you are signing up for and why you are there. I must say, like myself and many trustees I've trained over the years, like many of us don't even know what we sign up for. It's not a bad thing. I think it's worse when you have already made a judgment about something before you've committed to it. It's better if you go in with the view that you are there to learn, and you will learn along the way, and that is how you will take away, and the growth will be not only the difference you make to the charity, but your own personal development and growth. I hope that's been helpful to anybody who's been thinking about trustee roles, and you see me talk about some of my responsibilities because I am a trustee for a couple of organizations, charities. So, yeah, have a great weekend. I'm not sure what is going to be on offer next Saturday, but I do want to come back and share what I know with yourselves so that I'm giving away what I can. And if it's of any help to anybody, I'd love to know in the comments. If you have any questions and any comments, do let me know. And I will be here next Saturday, maybe with a guest, hasn't been confirmed yet. So, meanwhile, have a great weekend.